Being lonely sucks. So I'm going to give you 3 conscious and amazing ways for you to feel loved and to never feel lonely ever again. Not just that, this will also help you manifest your dream partner. So watch this. First, what you have to know is being lonely is a feeling of lack. Right? Isn't that what we associated? When we're lonely, we feel like we don't have someone with us. We don't have a partner to make us feel loved and happy. We don't have a companion to make us feel like we can share what we have, our joys, even our sadness. We don't feel seen. We don't feel heard. We just don't feel a sense of love around us. And so what happens when we're missing this is now we start to keep blaming and punching ourselves about this loneliness. And it starts to feel heavier and heavier and heavier. I went through a really difficult time, and if I'm going to be honest, it was almost a suicidal time where I was super lonely. And this feeling of loneliness made me feel like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't valuable enough, that I wasn't even going to have a partner in the future, which is why the loneliness hit me even worse. And so I had to recognize, after I went through a series of relationships which broke up and I was like on my own, I was actually at the bottom of the barrel. And I said to myself, I have to find something that's going to change where I'm at. I cannot live like this anymore. I can't live being this lonely because I was feeling sad, I wasn't working well. And so I decided to go deep and look inwards to why I was even lonely in the first place. And it made me come up with an amazing exercise which changed my life forever. I have never felt that feeling of loneliness ever again. And so the first and the most important tool, so there are 3 of these tools, and the first and the most important one is to recognize, where am I missing or wanting another companion to show up with me or for me? So that's tool number 1, to recognize in your life where you are wanting someone else to show up for you, to love you, to validate you, to be around you. So for me, and I encourage you, if you're listening to this video right now, get a sheet of paper and a pen. Divide this sheet of paper right down the middle. And on the left side of this sheet of paper, write down at the top, where do I want someone to love me and show up for me? And so I'll tell you in my own personal story, this was many years ago, I actually locked myself up for like 2 months trying to figure this out because I didn't want to go out in the outside world and have a shitty relationship again. So I love physical affection. I love someone holding me, someone comforting me, someone feeling like, a sense of, soothing around me. So I wrote that down. I was like, I want someone to love me, hold me, comfort me, touch me, hug me. Good. Point number 1. Number 2, I love, being honest with you, I love being fed. It's not just the food that I like, it's the act that comes in when someone cooks for me. It makes me feel so loved. It makes me feel like they're taking care of me, they're loving me, that I'm what's important for them. And so they're trying to nourish me. So I love that. That was another one. I love talking to people. So I love going on walks with the person that I would be with, the partner, whoever else. I'd love to, just like share my day, talk about what's going on, and just be with someone while I went on a walk. So let's take these 3 things, right? Now, this leads me to point number 2, which is where the awareness kicks in of how you can show up. So point number 2 is, how can I look at these same areas and show up for myself? The same things I'm wanting from a partner, the same thing I'm wanting from a companion, the same things I'm seeking from them. How can I provide these to myself? So let's take those same 3 examples that I brought up about myself. Number 1 was where I just wanted someone to physically touch me. Now in our heads, we're thinking, there's no fucking way I could do this. Yes, there's no fucking way I could really show up for myself. But we have to learn how to, because at the end of the day, what we're seeking is not really companionship, it's love. And so if we found a way to give ourselves that love, we'd be hyper dependent on the companionship less. Trust me, try this out, it'll fucking change your life. So I was like, okay, I love to be hugged, I love to be touched, I love to be cuddled. Before I went to bed every single night, I used to take cream and I used to rub it on my arms and my back, but this time when I was doing this, I was doing it with intention. I was like feeling as if a partner was rubbing cream on me before I went to bed, soothing me to be able to like feel that sense of touch from them. So I closed my eyes, I would visualize feeling that connection, that love, and it would actually make me smile, even though I was doing it to myself. And then to top it off, when I got into bed, I would tuck myself in as if a partner was tucking me in, and that feeling of wrapping myself tight made me feel like I was getting a beautiful big hug. A lot of the time, I would even hug myself. I would watch a movie if I liked something a lot, it was sweet or romantic, I'd just like hug myself, close my eyes, and on my own, allow myself for the same feelings as if I was getting them with a partner. Point number 2, we talked about where I said I love to be fed, or to be, to have someone cook for me. This was the most important one. I have met so many people who hate cooking for themselves, who hate doing so many things for themselves because they're like, it doesn't give me joy, there's no one to recognize it, validate it, and feel appreciated by it. So I then said, I'm going to intentionally cook for myself as if someone who's loving me would cook for me. Someone who's loving me wouldn't cook a 2-minute meal, a microwave dinner. They'd go to the store, get the best ingredients, they'd cook with it, play some music, have a glass of wine, feel so much of joy in the process. And when they were serving me, they'd plate it. But here's the real kicker, which was amazing. I would imagine myself being a partner, cooking for me, making these delicious meals, then I'd plate it, put it on the dining table, and what I'd do after that is is I'd run around to the other side of the dining table. Imagine as if I was now me, not the partner anymore, and I'd receive it and I'd be like, oh my God, this is so delicious. Thank you for making this amazing meal for me. As if someone I loved who loved me was making it for me. At the start, let me tell you, it will be awkward. Why? Because we're not used to it. Not because it's bad. We're just not used to it. But when I practiced it over and over again with discipline, and I was doing that, I started to feel this sense of love, like I was being loved and taken care of. And the third piece, when I'd go for walks, I'd actually start talking to myself. I'd point out the birds, I'd point out the trees, and I'd say softly to myself, wow, look at that little bird. Isn't that so pretty? As if I was telling someone else. As if I was sharing something beautiful with someone. You know, it's funny, one time my aunt, actually I was staying in her house, and she caught me kind of talking to myself when I was feeding myself, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I am learning to truly love myself. And this leads me to the third piece of what you need to kick the loneliness, and that is the commitment to 1 and 2. Every time that you find yourself lonely, ask yourself, what am I wanting from someone? Point number 1. Point number 2, how can I give it to myself? And point number 3 is, how can I stay committed to this? If you do it just the 1 time, it's not going to change your life. I can tell you that. If you just do it the 2 or the 3 times, you're going to feel a little good, and then you're going to be lost again. And then you'll miss it even more. But if you stay consistent and committed to it, you are now showing up for yourself so much as if a loving, affectionate partner was consistently showing up for you. When you learn to do this consistently, it fills your heart so much. It fills your self-worth. You finally believe that you are worthy of being loved and taken care of. You start to believe that you are worthy of attracting a relationship which can show up for you with high standards. And guess what happens next? Boom. You attract exactly that quality of relationship. But this time, your goal is not to attract the relationship so you can cure your loneliness. This time, your cure of loneliness is showing up for you. And because you start to love you and you complete you, the relationship comes in to complement you. Try this out. This exercise will absolutely fucking change your life. And then I want you to send me a DM and tell me how much you loved it. My name is Yats, and I'm an inner work and relationship guru. My job is to give you loving messages like this. So if you really enjoyed this, and if it resonated with you, drop a line in the comments. Tell me what really resonated with you. Tell me what you need more of. Tell me how you want to show up for yourself more. And I would love to read that message and get back to you with love.